Hi, this is Carolette Wright, and I am excited to get started today to helping you understand how to build and grow your property preservation business. So before I get started, I want to make sure I preface that I'm not going to go into every little detail about how to start your own business, but I will refer you to the resources to get that training. There's a 7-day property preservation training that I recorded previously that you can go and dive in more and get more information and content. And at the end of this webinar, video, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to be giving you the instructions on how to do just that and take action on getting your business started, getting out of a stuck position, or just to get it to grow more. That's my goal, is to help you in one of those 3 areas. That way you can have the success you want while you build your business. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm going to be focusing in on a lot of the questions that we did go over in the webinar. Try to recapture everything. And I'm going to re-record the webinar, actually do it weekly, starting on next Thursday. So if you missed last Thursday's webinar, this is a free week. We're going to start back up doing weekly webinars on next week. So make sure, if you don't already have access to that webinar, make sure you get on that list. That way you won't miss the training, or get the replay. Had some problems getting it uploaded to the site, and then I realized that I did not hit the record button. So because of that, I had to re-record it. It took me a little while to get that out to you, but here is the rendering of the webinar content we talked about, as much as I can remember. But we're going to do it again, so that way you have another chance to get involved, and we're going to do it weekly. That way you're getting the exposure and the support you need to grow your business. So let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, this is going to be a very informal kind of question-answer type format based on the questions that were asked in the webinar last week. And I want to go over a few things, definitely in content-wise, as far as scope. We're going to be going over what exactly is property preservation, some things you need to know in order to be successful in this business, and how you work with the REO companies. I have some information to give you about that because I don't want you to be misinformed. And then we're going to go into some Q&A. So really quick, some questions that I'm going to be covering include how you get started, how much money can you make, if you need a website, and of course we're going to end on talking about some things that have changed in this business. That way you are equipped and you kind of have a direction on where you should go next as you get involved in learning more about the industry. And if you were anything like me when I first started, back in 2009, it was actually November 2009, there really wasn't any content out there. I actually stumbled across an ebook. I kind of had to just kind of scrape and pull from here and there and pull resources together to understand how to get started in the business. And even when I did that, I still didn't have enough. I had an idea, but I didn't know what my first step should be and where I should go. So that's my goal. My goal is to help you on getting your feet on the ground and getting started, and getting your feet connected, or your hands connected with other companies, other preservation companies, and other vendors like yourself who might be able to help you in your resources, help you connect, and just build relationships, okay? So my goal is to kind of demystify this process for you, give you knowledge, because a lot of people, they have the fire and they have the ambition and the drive to want to do this business, but they lack information. And when you're uncertain and when you're confused, it makes you hesitant, and I get it. I understand how it feels to want to get started but don't really know where to start, and don't want to waste your money, don't want to waste your time having to recreate the wheel. I mean, you may be on fire and excited, but you just don't know where to start. And that's an uneasy feeling, that's an uncertain feeling, and you don't have any confidence or power when you operate in that mode. So my goal is to help you unveil the mask and to have a clearer understanding of the business. That way you know how to attack it and position yourself properly to be successful in this industry. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing is, what exactly is property preservation. Like I said, I'm going to give you a very broad overview of the industry, and then I want you to go back to the 7-day training and actually dig into that content and understand exactly what it is, because I go into really good detail there. But really quick, property preservation basically is called field services. And what we do is we go out into the field, which is the homes that are vacant, and we go and we clean them, maintain them, and restore them back to sell or for rent value. So you work to make sure the property is back into sell or rent condition for the realtor or the landlord or the owner, so you can get that property back on the market. That's basically what it is. You go in there, you clean vacant homes. Now, I do know a lot of people who are already cleaning homes right now, and they are actually getting in this business to kind of help diversify their client base and to pick up more business. So if you're cleaning homes, you get your own cleaning service, whether it's commercial or residential, this is definitely a viable option to help build your portfolio in your business and your services, and just help build more exposure and to help grow your business as well. Let's keep it going. So basically, some things we do really quick: janitorial cleaning, removing of debris, some grass cut, and rekeying or changing the locks out on the property. For example, if the property was foreclosed upon or just vacant for a while, after so much time or once the owner has moved out, you have to change the keys. The keys are changed so that the realtor can get into the property. So you go in there, you change the keys, and it also makes sure that no one else is in the property without having possession of it. So you go in there, change the locks to a certain key code that is designed for that bank or that client that you work for, and they have all that spelled out in the instructions they give you once you're awarded that property to work on. We also winterize and de-winterize properties. We rehab them. For example, if you go into a property and there is mold in that property, we go in there and we gut out the mold. We clean. You can sometimes use bleach and water and clean the mold off the wall, depending on what type of mold it is and how concentrated it is. There are things you can do to kind of help with the cost and the work that needs to be done on the property. But we'll get into all that later. But for now, just know that those are services we do. And if you cannot do it, or if you don't have the manpower to do any of these jobs, then you can definitely outsource them. Okay? Carpet cleaning is another example, and of course reglazing windows or replacing the windows that are broken in the property. And there's so many more things you can do. So like I said, there are a lot of jobs you do, and if you don't have the manpower or the skill set to do this job, in a nutshell, your main job is you are the property manager. You are the eyes and the ears for that property. The bank or the client is not there in most cases, so they're depending on your professionalism and your expertise and your knowledge and your observations to be able to tell them what you see in that property and what you recommend they do to get that property back to resale value or resale condition. So it's very important that you understand the industry, you understand what you're looking at, and you have a little bit of understanding of what is expected of these properties. Just making sure you understand the HUD guidelines and the other guidelines that are set by the government. And we're going to go into a little bit here, and I'll go into some other details later. So just remember, when you are working on the property, as you go out there, not only work on the property, but when you start building your business, that this is your business, okay? And make sure you position yourself as if you are knowledgeable. You don't have to know everything, but just be professional when you're going out and you connect with the companies, because there have been a lot of things that's happened over the past 3 and 4 years where we have vendors that they're not as professional as they should be, and this kind of put a little damper, on the relationships of the P&P companies and the vendors. And we're working very hard now to rebuild that relationship And it's important that when you go into business that you have to maintain yourself professionally, and to know this is not a job. No one has to give you anything like in a job. You show up and you get paid. Here you get paid for your results. You get paid for working. You get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace. And it's somewhat is true for a job, but in most cases you could be a half standard or a mediocre employee, and as long as you do the bare minimum and you show up, you're going to get paid. When it comes to business, you have to make sure you bring value, and you have to be consistent in that value. So no one can give you anything. You have to earn it, and you have to own up to it, and you have to know that this is a business. And because of that, everything that happens is business. You know, if you are working on a property, or you get awarded to work with a company and they give you a property and you're working very hard on it, and for some reason you didn't communicate to the company that you need another day, and then time runs out on you and you turn it in late, and they may dock you for, you know, being late. It's called a chargeback. They will charge back a percentage of whatever you're going to get paid for every day that it's late. So if you're late for 2 and 3 days and you don't get paid for it, or if you're expecting to get paid, you know, and then at the end of the month when they invoice, or the end of the cycle they invoice you, and you don't get what you are expecting, I need you to understand these things. That way you don't get in the business not understanding how it works. Because what happens is the company you're working with, they're getting charged for being late as well. And when you don't communicate to them that, hey, I need a day or two to get this complete because we had some problems in the field, when you explain that to them, they can go back to their client and ask for a couple more days, and then render those days to you. So nothing's wrong with it. It's understandable if you're late, but there are deadlines, there's guidelines that have to be met, because you know the regulations, the government, and the fines and the fees are calculating every day, and they're accumulating every day. So time is against us in the sense. It can be for us or against us. It can serve us or it can hurt us. It all depends on how we position our business and how we organize our business to grow. So keep that in mind. There are things in place that you have to be aware of, like chargebacks. But as long as you are on time with your work orders, as long as you're communicating with the company you work with, then you should be perfectly fine. And we're going to go through a lot of that here. Just stay to the end. We're going to go through a lot of good content. Make sure you have a pen and a paper and handy. And of course, you can always go back and rewind this video if there's something you don't understand, something that's not clear. And you can always question or give me questions in the Facebook group if you have the opportunity to be at that private Facebook group. Okay? So go ahead and let me continue. So like I said, it's a business. It's not a nonprofit. We're not doing any charity work here. Our client is the government and the banks. Okay, so make sure you understand that. Our client are the government and the bank. And that's not only your client necessarily, but the company you're working for, it's their client. So if they're asking you for more pictures, you can't get upset, because they're looking out for the whole organization. They're looking out for you getting more work. They're looking out for other vendors who are depending on that income to get more work. And they're looking out for their employees and the connection they have and the relationship they have. So just know that there are other people at play, and it all matters where you fall in the food chain. And I hope it makes sense. It is a hierarchy. You know, just like in a company or any organization, there's always a pyramid. There's an organization. And right, the vendors are at the bottom. There's more of us, we're at the bottom. And as you go up, you know, they get smaller, and of course the top is the government or the banks. Okay? So make sure when you are working with these companies, you are building relationships. Okay? Make sure that you are, you know, communicating, that you are emailing, that you are submitting on time, that you're just explaining to them what you're seeing in the field and what you're experiencing, so what they understand. Because one thing you have to also remember is a lot of these companies, some of them have never worked in the field. They have no idea what it takes to be in the field. And if they do, it's probably the owners and the employees who are submitting the work orders don't really know what you're experiencing. They only know that when they're submitting work orders, or they're submitting work, or they're reviewing work through quality assurance, they're getting a lot of errors and have to go back and resubmit and ask for more pictures. All they know is that they're having to repeat themselves over and over again, and they don't know why. Not only that, they don't tend to have a lot of time to try to go back and explain things because there's no time. There really is no time. You are spending a lot of your time crunching pictures, getting everything submitted, going through checklists, and trying to make sure everything is done because one, it was turned in right on the day or the day after, or two, there's just so much work to be done that it's just the workload it's just a matter of just being overloaded to keep up. Okay, so make sure that you're building a relationship with these people, that you are servicing them. Of course, you just explain. If something happens where you can't do it, just explain, because you're not an employee, you are a business. And if a company happens to give you a work order late, or you don't have enough time to submit it, then tell them, you know, I don't have enough time to submit this, I cannot accept this work order. Or let's say, for example, someone else was given the work, they were not able to do it, and it comes to you. Then if you don't reply back to them, then they need to understand that, hey, I didn't see it, or I didn't approve it. And make sure that is very clear what your rules are. Hey, if I approve anything, I will email you back or call you back to confirm that I got the email, or to confirm that I accepted the work. Because a lot of times, you know, if you're not careful, we get a lot of emails coming back and forth. You just might miss it if you don't have a designated person to watch your inbox where all the work orders come in. And of course, you can always have them just call and confirm once they email you the work order. Just make sure you got it, and then make sure you're able to respond in a timely manner so they can go somewhere else, find someone else to do the work. Okay? So, all that being said, I know I'm going really fast because I'm trying to get through a lot of content, and I'm going to try to slow down here. But there's some things you definitely need to know in order to be successful, because a lot of things have changed in this business, and a lot of things have gone more digital. So if you are someone who just is not technical savvy, you really don't know how to use a computer very well, maybe you don't have a smartphone, you're just really not used to technology, you have to get someone on your team who is. It's going to be very vital, because a lot of people who don't know how to use the internet, you know, how to use smartphones, how to send an email, they will be struggling in their business. They are struggling in most cases in business. They don't have the skills to keep up with the changing in the market and the changing in the industry. So it's very important that you keep your skills up, that you go to a library, or that you go down to a community college, or you go somewhere in your area that is teaching these free classes on how to use the internet. If your job offers it, then take it. You know, learn how to send out emails. You know, make sure you understand the basics of the technology you're going to be using. That way you're not held behind. Or just find someone who can help you. Find someone in your business that you can partner with and work with and build that relationship. That way your business can grow properly, okay? It's very important. One thing I can say is the businesses that are definitely connected with the most credentials get noticed. So if you have a skill set, they're going to notice these things. If you don't, they're going to notice them as well. So make sure you're making the right connections. Make sure you have the right skill set to get in this business. If you don't, you can always find someone who does. You can always find someone who does. Alright, so like I said, things have changed. But before I move further, there were some things that wanted me to stress. And I'm going to mingle them into this presentation. In order to get started in this business, you need to make sure, 1, you're licensed. 2, that you know where you're going to be working and locations you'll be working at. And 3, that you know the regulations. Okay? So in order to work with P&P companies or property preservation companies, they're also called P&P companies, you need to know these things. And one thing that I was asked to stress foremost is number 3. Make sure you know your regulations. Make sure you know all the guidelines on how to get work done, and make sure you have access to it while you're out in the field, while you're out in the properties, okay? So those are conventional loans, Federal National Mortgage Association, Federal Housing Loan Mortgage Corporation, which is basically Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, HUD, and REO. These are some things you're going to need to know. They all have their own regulation. They're similar, but they're all different. They pay a little different sometimes. They have different key codes. They have different limits and specs to complete the work by. So you don't want to do HUD guidelines to a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. You need to understand what they're expecting. And of course, when you're invoicing, you need to make sure you get the right price, because you could be leaving money on the table. And a lot of times, if you put the wrong amount on there, unless it's something they're able to catch, you may be losing some money. So make sure you know your guidelines, make sure you know your cost schedules that go to each one. Like I said, this is something that they had asked me to stress. I've talked to several companies last week, and just kind of seeing what's going on in the marketplace right now, and that was one thing, or one of several things they mentioned to me, was that vendors don't always know their guidelines and regulations. So make sure you understand that. Make sure you know what you can and cannot do in the field to prevent you having any additional headache and costing yourself more money, okay, and damages. And also make sure, if you're ever not sure, you don't really know what to do, if you're uncertain, because you're new, and they know that you're new, but they just want to make sure you demonstrate the skills to be able to ask for questions or ask for answers and to reach out. Just always ask for clarity. You can always call them out. They tend to have a vendor management, field service support line that you can call. Sometimes they're open it's about 8, 9 o'clock at night. It just depends. Typically probably like nighttime when it gets dark. It depends on the company you work with. So make sure you have that number. Make sure you have people who you can call and just ask for clarity if you're not sure about something. Alright, so when you are connecting with these companies, you definitely need to make sure that you have certain things in place. Not only do you need to make sure you understand and follow the regulations first and foremost, but you also need to call and make sure you understand the licensing and insurance requirements, okay, because each one is different. So before you join a property preservation company to work with, before you submit your application, I recommend that you give them a call. You call them, pick up the phone, and you actually make sure there is alignment with what you bring to the table and what they need. So your company might not be able to afford all that they're asking for. Maybe you have a bare minimum. We need to make sure you understand what they require and what you have before you waste time filling out the applications. Because sometimes if you don't have everything in place, it can take a couple hours to get everything together. But if you have everything already filed and ready to go, you can probably get it to them in about 5 or 10 minutes. But even with that, just want to make sure you don't waste your time applying to different companies if you don't have the right insurance. Because they're going to put you to the side, and they're not going to really give you the opportunity that you're looking for. So why waste your time and your business's time by applying to companies you're not qualified for? So make sure there's alignment. Make sure that you call, ask for an application if you need to, ask what the requirements are for insurance and licensing, and then you can go from there before you waste your time. And this is also a good idea before you even buy your insurance. I would hate for you to get involved with the companies and buy your insurance and don't have what you need to get started, or you buy all this stuff up and you can't get in because you're missing another component. So make sure you landscape and you understand what's required before you go out and spend your money, and have an idea of what you need. But it's up to you. I bought my insurance first, and it took me about a couple months to get into preservation work. but I was able to get into the insurance part of the industry. So it's up to you how you do it. It's up to your fire determination. It's up to you as far as how you work. Only you know how you work. So with that, I mean, if you know you're gonna work hard, you're determined, you have faith in your ability, your skills, then definitely go for it. But if you're uncertain, if you're still kind of treading water, and if you're hesitant, then I would just hold off on buying your insurance and your licenses until you talk to the companies and find out what they need. And it's very well, they may kind of be a little short with you. It's not uncommon. Don't be surprised, because I know I experienced that when I first got in the business, and it kind of threw me off a little bit until I understood why they were like that. It's because they deal with people all the time, and not everyone is professional, and they kind of got, like I said, got burned. They get burned sometimes, but when you get to the right person, they are very professional and very nice. You might get 1 or 2 bad apples out of 5 companies you call. So don't let that deter you. Don't let that discourage you. Just know that happens at McDonald's. You can go to McDonald's and have a bad person or a bad experience. So don't let that distract you from getting into the business if that's something you want to do. Okay? Alright, like I said, make sure you find some commonality between the company you're applying for and what you bring to the table. If they're asking for something you're not able to render to them right now, then just put them to the side and continue going through other companies. There are several of companies you can partner with, not just 1 or 2. So just know the opportunity is limitless. Well, not limitless, but there is a lot of opportunity out there. It's a matter of just you knowing what you can do right now. And as you grow, you can always expand your businesses and expand your reach with these companies. So don't be discouraged. Just know where you are, know what they need, and try to meet that request by having a common thread, common alignment. Alright, so like I said, make sure you match your credentials with the organization and make sure there's a good match there, okay? Because like I said, you don't want to waste your time applying to companies, and what's going to happen is they're going to say, okay, your application looks good, but you're missing X, Y, and Z. You have 30 days to render the information or your application will be denied. I've seen that before. Or, you know, they may just not even, like I said, give you any jobs and bypass you because you don't have what you need turned in. So just make sure before you apply that you understand what they need. You can always request an application. You don't have to submit it right now, but it gives you an idea of what you need when the time comes for you to get those things, okay? So how do you get started in the business? Well, there's some things you definitely need. Like I said, you're going to need your license, you're going to need insurance, and you're going to need supplies and tools. As far as your license and insurance, now this varies based on the company, so you need to make sure you understand what they need. You're going to always need general liability insurance if you're working with the larger companies. If you're working with the smaller company, they might not require it. Likely, it's going to be just regular people like you who are already in the business, who are looking to get some work done. And they're just basically people in your area, your local city, who have a lot of work they have to get rid of and get done. They need your help. So they may not ask for general liability insurance. So that's a good way of getting in the door. It's a good start. It'll give you some training and understanding of what this business is all about. It'll help you build your list of references. It'll help you just get exposed to the industry while you are growing and still working to get to other companies, unless you have a non-compete agreement. I don't know. But you definitely going to need this for the larger companies, and sometimes the company you work for, no matter who they are, may ask for it. But in most cases, if it's a small company, they probably won't ask. So the marketplace is very vast. You can find anything you're looking for if you look hard enough. So just keep that in mind. E&O insurance, it was not required as much when I first got started, but I see it's happening more and more. And this basically covers, you know, just errors and paperwork. And not only that, it's a way of qualification to make sure you are just not anyone off the street. They want to basically weed out the riffraff, okay? So these companies are trying to raise their bar by requiring more licensing and more insurance because of the issues they've had in the past. So just know this is very expensive insurance. But again, there are a lot of companies out there that are not requiring this right now. So you can always get started with them first. And then as you grow, you can reinvest in your business and get things like this, the extra insurance, and then go back and apply. Just remember, always be reinvesting your business, whether you're buying more supplies, whether you are hiring more contractors, whether you're hiring employees, or whether you're buying more insurance and licensing. Always grow your business, because when you grow, you plant seeds going to bring back. So keep that in mind. You don't want to live hand to mouth in your business. You want to have money where you can pour back in your business so it can give back to you. If you treat the business like a business, it'll treat it like it to you as well. If that makes sense. Let me try it again. If you respect the business, it will respect you back. How is that? Okay? So just make sure that you are reinvesting back in your business. I've also seen them require contractors in license. This is mostly for those who are doing rehab work. Now, all of them, I've only seen like 3 or 4 companies require this. They're raising the bar again, getting all the riffraff out. So just be aware that if you have a license, then it'd be a good opportunity for you to get with those companies. If you don't, then you may want to come back to these people later, go get your licensing and come back. You're going to, of course, need to know if you need A, B, or C, and all that good stuff. You got to know what kind of license you're going to be doing based on the volume of work you're going to be doing. And you get all that as you grow and first learn about this business. And there are companies that require workers' compensation insurance. And sometimes your state may waive the insurance. It might not require you to have it. Some companies will say, okay, I know your state does not require you to have it, but I need you to have it still. There are things you can do that I've gone through in more detail in the videos. But basically, I know for Tennessee, I was able to just submit, the website that showed that it was waived for my state. But again, I don't know what they've done lately. You have to just call and ask them and find out. And just kind of, just finagle that a little bit and play with it. That's what they do. But again, I go into more detail about this in the 7-day training that's in the group, okay? So what supplies you need? You're going to need a laptop or a computer, preferably a laptop, because you're going to be working out in the field. And you're going to need to have access to certain things, like your work orders, your invoicing, your software. You're going to need that stuff. You're going to also need a cell phone if you're mobile, because it's going to give you the opportunity to take pictures and to send them to the companies real time. And a lot of things are moving more digitally, so you should be able to try to get as much of the work done before you leave the property. That way you're not spending hours trying to get everything submitted. But they are now allowing you to take pictures real time. That way it's time stamped, it's in the software, in the app that they're using. But you're going to need a cell phone to also call or receive calls while you're out in the field. So you got to have a cell phone, preferably a smartphone now in the industry. Of course, cleaning supplies. I've had someone ask me what kind of cleaning supplies. I would not go and buy commercial grade stuff. I mean, if you have it, then fine, go ahead and use it, because it definitely comes in handy when you're dealing with a lot of the heavy cleaning things. But just some general household cleaning, some fabulosa, some bleach, maybe a mop, a broom, a dustpan, a vacuum, some Pine Sol, or just anything you can use that you'd like to clean with. Lysol. Those are things you're going to need for the cleaning portion. A toilet bowl brush, a water hose. Sometimes you have to, use water at the property. Have a water hose or be able to bring water to the property to be able to clean. Because sometimes the water is turned off. A digital camera, of course. If you don't have a cell phone, you need a camera or something backed up in case something happens to your camera or your phone. That way you have a device to take the pictures and capture your before, your during, and your after images. You're going to need some kind of management software to be able to manage all your invoices and bids. I know I used, when I first started, Excel. It worked just fine. if you don't have Excel or Microsoft, you can definitely go to Google Docs and set up your Gmail account. And they have free Excel, free Word, free PowerPoint, just free things you can use in case you don't have the software, and it works just as fine. So keep that in mind if you don't have that on your computer, whether it expired on you, I don't know. Keep that in mind. You need a lawnmower or a ride mower, or at least have access to that, because you may be doing a lot of grass cut if you opt into grass cuts. Now, some companies separate everything where you do preservation work and grass cut separately, but a lot still have them together. So, just depending on who you're working with. You're going to need a lawnmower. You have to have a lawnmower if you're going to be doing grass cut, because it's part of the initial job order. Okay. I know when I first started, all I had was a push mower, and we pushed the grass on tall grass. A lot of work. But after a couple months, we made some money. We were able to buy a zero-turn mower. So you kind of can start where you are. And I say that not to encourage you to start with on a shoestring budget, but just kind of let you know that where there's a will, there's a way. If you want to do it, then you'll find a way. You'll just find a way. I mean, it's plain simple as that. I can't really tell you this was a sure way of doing it, or that was a sure way of doing it, or my way is best. No, it's not. I was just determined to make it work, and I made it work with what I had. And I knew, okay, I don't have this stuff, but I can find someone who does. And if I can do that, we can get the work done. I knew that. Maybe you're not in a place where you can find anybody to do this job. Maybe you have the finances to go ahead and invest and not have the headache that I had to go through by not having the income to invest in my business like I wanted to. So keep that in mind. I mean, if you have a zero-turn mower, if you have a lawnmower, use it, or if you can go on Craigslist or go to some of these auctions, and school auction where they sell a lawnmower from the high schools and the lawnmowers from the elementary schools. Maybe you can go there and buy you a nice lawnmower that's commercial grade for a very good price. It's up to you how you do it. Just make sure you have something out there you can use. Okay, you need a truck or trailer. What size? I mean, it's something that can haul. I mean, you can have a small truck if you want. Just know if you go to these properties and there's a lot of trash, you might be making more than one trip back and forth if you don't have an additional trailer hitched on that truck. Okay, so just know that. I mean, you can get any size you want, but if you don't have a big enough trailer, and that could be anything. I mean, you could have a big trailer, but it's only matter the number of loads you're going to be taking back and forth on these properties. And I recommend you have a weed eater and a hedge trimmer, because that's part of the yard work. To go out there and to make sure you trim off all the weeds around the property by the house, and to also make sure you trim all the hedges. A lot of times people forget to do these things, and they leave money on the table, and you don't have to if you are prepared properly and have access to these tools. So that's a real quick list. Like I said, go back to the videos in 7-day training. Alright, so I was also asked to stress that when you're in the business and you get your feet going and you're doing the initial work, make sure that you're focused. When they give you a work order, do what's on the work order first and foremost. And if you're in the property and you see additional things that are not done, or you observe some things that are a hazard, give them a call. Let them know what you've seen, what you observed. Take plenty of pictures. And then let them know, okay, I'm going to bid on this. And sometimes it's a good idea to separate your bids. Maybe have a bid that, after you do your initial work, have a bid that's only like $400, and then have another bid that's big items, like $2,000 and $3,000 and plus. That way you have more of opportunity to get approved. You put everything on one bid, but we're going to take it as one job. So I would separate the two, and have a bid that's a lesser bid and a bid for all the big items. For example, maybe you see that the carpet needs to be cleaned, and that's your number one thing you think should be done, clean the carpet. So you may charge them $200 or $250, whatever your company charges, for cleaning the carpet on one bid, but you also notice that, hey, you know what, this property has a big old hole in the wall. Well, I can redo the wall, put more drywall up or whatever you recommend they do the property, and you give them a quote for that also. That way you improve your chances of being approved on one or the other, okay? And it'll help you in the long run. But with that being said, do the initial work first, because anything you bid on is not guaranteed. A lot of times people don't get awarded bids, and they get a little frustrated and upset and wonder why and what's going on, or they feel like they're being done wrong or being overlooked. It's not the case. The client has it in say. If they decide they find someone cheaper to do the job, or they don't want to do it, they just won't find anybody. The company you work with, they want you to do the work. They want you to help. They're ethical. Don't think they're not being ethical if they pass you up on a job. Because maybe someone underbids you. I mean, you don't know. That's their business. All you have to know is don't think everyone is against your business or trying to keep you from making the money you want to make, or taking your bids and reselling them and all this crazy stuff that I think of. I mean, does it happen? It probably does. Will it happen to you? It might. That's not your concern. I mean, I wouldn't worry about that, That's distracting, and that keeps you from focusing on the things you should be focusing on the positive things of getting your business to grow and building more clientele. That's what I would be worried about. I wouldn't be worried about things that don't matter, If they don't take your bid, then if you feel like that they've overlooked you, then don't do any more bids for them, and just keep it moving, Just keep on moving forward with your business. Don't be concerned with things you cannot control, okay? And just know when you submit a bid, it's just like in the commercial industry. If you called someone out to your house to do a carpet, carpet installation, they give you a quote, and you want another quote, you can call somebody else, and you're not guaranteed, or you're not obligated to give them the work. You can go with whomever you want to. Keep that in mind. Try to relate everything that happens in the business with how you deal with your life and your personal business. It's all the same. There are no guarantees. Also, understand, like I said, packaging your product, keeping things separate, that way you have more of a chance to get approved. And also understand the time frames, that each company that gives you work orders, they have a time frame to give this work turned back in. So if they give you 3 days, you have 3 days. If you can get done in 2, that's better, because if something ever comes back as not being complete properly, or there are delays, you need that cushion to go back and fix it, or to submit the information they need. If you're trying to get in right on the day that it's due, then now you're a chance. You are causing your business to lose money if something goes wrong. So just make sure you give yourself a little cushion and know there are time frames. Like, for example, it's a company called Superior, and they do a lot of rehab work on property. So what happens with them is, when they have when you go out to the field, you do work, and they see a lot of damages in properties, those work orders tend to go to Superior if no one's able to fix them. And Superior focuses in on getting the property rehabbed. They don't really do any of the cleaning. They may do some larger cleaning, like janitorial cleaning, that's like top dollar detail stuff. But for the most part, they focus in on rehab and getting the property back to its retail condition. They're kind of the last stop for getting it back to the realtor. And if they have a job and you bid $3,000 on it, just know the time frame for that is 1 day is equal to $1,000. So each company has their own guidelines and their own regulations, but you have to understand what their time frame is and know that they are given that and mandated that from their client. And if you don't think you have enough time, then you should consider if that's the job you want to work on, because you're going to need to make sure it's done in that time, or you will not make the money you thought you'd make, and you will hurt your business in that way. Okay. And just don't forget, like I said, everything is going digital. If you're struggling with emails, if you're struggling with internet or smartphones, then get the training you need. It should be free or relatively cheap in your area. Go to the Small Business Administration, go down to the library, the community center, the job resource area, the job, whatever you have, a unemployment office. They teach the classes in most cases for free. Especially the job places, or you're trying to find unemployment office. So keep that in mind. You have to have someone on your team. If it's not you, someone else who is technically savvy and who can do the basics in the business. Okay. All right, and then of course location. Make sure you have a connection with your location. So when they come to you, they're going to ask you what are your zip codes. You need to understand, okay, what scope of the business are you going to be focusing on? Are you going to try to get 50 zip codes so you can make as much money as you possibly can? Or are you going to only focus on the surrounding counties in your area, maybe 5 or 6 counties, and that's it? Think about that, because that's gas. You got to understand the miles you're putting in, the gas, the turnaround time. If you have people who can go out there and do the work, because you don't want to be all over the place. They may give you 3 work orders in one county, and then 2 hours beyond, maybe 5 more work orders. Can you get back and forth in 3 or 4 days? Because they're going to still give you the same amount of days on these work orders. So you need to understand, the broader your scope is, the harder it's going to be. Also, if you live in like a very populated, very dense area, they have a lot of companies, and you're trying to get your foot in the door, sometimes you might have to reconsider your location. You might have to go to the next counties over and focus in on those counties. You have to make the decision for your business if you want this to work. That way, it at least gets you in the door, and then when someone falls off, when someone changes locations or move, you can definitely update your zip codes at a later date and come closer to home, or control both territories. It's totally up to you how you do it, but don't think that you can't do the business because you can't work in your area. Now, I understand if you don't have the resources or the finances to be able to travel 3 and 4 hours out, but if you build a team out there you can depend on, then it's very doable. You have to just think of solutions versus thinking that it can't work. Because once you say it can't work, it will not work. It absolutely will not work. But again, like I said, it's totally up to you how you frame your business. But just think about that. Don't count it as a loss if you can't get in your area. There are things you can do to get in the business. Okay? So, but make sure that you understand your local areas and where you're going to be working at, and make sure you connect with them properly, because the zip codes and the connections you make are going to make all the difference. And if you build relationship with them, they will do what they can to help you grow your business. Okay. Let's see. We keep going. So like I said, the main thing is you're focusing in on getting the property back to the market. That's your main goal. Okay. So is the property clean? Is it safe? And is it secure? Those are your 3 things you should understand when you are in these properties. Okay. Is it clean? Just make sure when you go on the property, if there's any trash or debris in the property, then you have done your job properly. If you're not able to move it for whatever reason, make sure you communicate that to them, because more than likely someone may come back behind you in some business, some companies, and check to inspect the quality of the property, and you don't want to be the last one that worked there and didn't do everything. So keep that in mind. Okay, make sure the property is clean. Make sure you bid on anything you see. Make sure you report out anything you see. Make sure you document everything you see on the inspection form. Okay, in most cases, a broom swept clean is usually included in the removal of all the trash, and all that is basically is taking the broom and making sure all the cobwebs are removed from the wall, the doors, making sure that the countertops are brushed off and the floor swept. All the big stuff off the floor. Now, if you see that it's really dirty and it's going to take a lot more work, a lot more time, do the bare minimum, or just call them and say, you know what, I don't want to start on this job until you understand what's here, what I'm seeing, I will have to bid on the clean portion. I'll get everything else done. And here's my bid. Here's my my pictures and my supporting documents. So make sure you submit all that. They're going to need it, okay? And just be as detailed as possible when you are submitting your bids. If you don't have any pictures, it's not going to work. You know, if it's not documented, it's not done. If you didn't show that you did the before, during, and after, they're not going to pay you, because in their mind, if it's not documented in images, you did not do the work. You know, if you can't show that same angle to confirm that you actually did the work, then you're not going to get paid for that. And I don't want you to get in the business and lose money. I want you to be very informed. It's very important that you take pictures, that you be consistent with the photos, and they get a lot. I would take probably like between 80 to 100, you know, per property, just over and over again, different angles, grass cut, you know, inspections around the house, the 4 angles, the mailbox, the street sign, confirm that I'm at the right property. There's a lot of things that I can go into. We'll be here for hours going through everything. But the most important thing is make sure you document everything in your pictures, because they are not there. They're taking your word for it, and the only thing that can prove that you are there are your pictures. And take a lot, because sometimes when you get home or if you are submitting photos, they don't come out very clear. But if you have more than one version of that, maybe your finger was in the way, maybe you were tilted over, maybe the shutter, the flash was off and it was dark in the property. I don't know. But make sure you have more than one version of that photo, and make sure you have lots of them, where they can pick and choose and put the package together, and you won't have any delays getting paid, okay? And talking about pay, really quick, did I go over here, this information? Well, I would say that there are different pay cycles, and I'll try to hit it here in a minute, okay? I'll go over pay here in a minute. So, making sure all the debris is moved, make sure it's clean, broom swept, and make sure toilets and tubs are clean, per the charge amount for the guideline you're following in the regulations, okay? It's very important that you follow those expectations. Also, is it safe? Making sure there's no paint in the property, there's no gasoline or chemicals, there's no animal feces. Yes, you will see feces in these properties. I've seen it, and I about fell out. But it's part of the business. I remember when my husband and I first, I think our first property went to, it was in Grutelli Lager. It was in Tennessee. Probably like 4 hours away from where we live. It was far. I know it was far away. When we got there, I was mortified when I seen the property. There was like beer cans all over the kitchen counter. Whoever was there just poured beer all over the house. They were just upset. I can tell they were upset. There were cigarette butts everywhere. They had burned the countertop with cigarette butts. There was trash everywhere. Hangers thrown everywhere. Furniture all over the floor. And then you go to the back room. We went to the very back room, the master bedroom. There's all these clothes everywhere, like real dated clothes and books and furniture. And we were moving the furniture around. There was animal feces under the clothes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is craziness, right? It was already enough for me getting over the mental block when I first walked in the property, because I was thinking it would be easy. I was so excited, you know, our first property, we're gonna get paid. You know, we were just so excited that we had our first job in the actual business. It wasn't an inspection job. And when we went in that property, I saw all that trash, and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I get this property done? And mind you, we did not have a trailer or a truck, okay? So we had to figure out a way to get this property cleaned. So we got everything done, we hauled everything, and we got everything down to the dump site. And mind you, we had no idea where to put the trash. We were going to leave it in front of the property. And we said, we can't do that. The guidelines said we can't do that. We had to call around and ask the neighbors for the nearest dump site, and we would just drive back and forth, you know, dumping everything in the trash. But it was just crazy that we saw things like that. We weren't expecting to see that. I mean, it doesn't become real until you're actually there. You can read in a book, I can tell you about it, but until you actually experience it, it doesn't become real. So when we got there, And I thought about it. I looked around. I said, okay, how much trash is this property? And we started calculating, estimating how much trash was there. And we said, okay, this is how much money we're going to make. And from that dollar amount, I got the energy to get everything out of that property, because it was just me and my husband at the time. We were trying to build a business and grow the business. So we just buckled up our loins and, covered up our faces, put some gloves on. We got to work. And we did very well on our first job. So just know you're going to see some things that are just unmentionable in these properties, but you're going to get paid very well if you do it right the first time, okay? As you can see, just making sure there's no exposed wires in the property, just making sure that it is safe, make sure nothing's exposed. I remember in one property there was a vent, how you have the air vent, but it was actually in the floor, but it was missing. So we didn't know what to do at the time. We just noticed it, but we didn't know we had to do anything with it. And I believe they saw our picture and they were like, well, it's exposed, and it's a hole in the ground. We had to go back to the property and cover that up. And it was only through trial and error that I understood, okay, there can't be any hazards. So we actually had to cover it up that way that anyone come in wouldn't fall in that hole and their foot stuck in that vent. So my whole preface is just make sure the property is safe, clean, and then we'll go on secure next, okay? And what I mean by secure, when you go there and you inspect the entire property, just make sure there's no vandalism, no vagrants living there, making sure that any previous signs of vandalism is reported to them and communicated, because the property value is the most important. So they want to make sure the property is maintaining its value, it's not depreciating, and if it is, they want to do the necessary work to get it back to where it should be, or to just understand what's going on so they can tell the investors and the owners the condition of their property, okay? Also make sure you understand the neighborhood conditions. If the neighborhood's unsafe or you see a lot of things going on in the neighborhood, report that, keep that in mind, that this is something that they are looking to, be very observant. One thing is, when we're in these properties and you're in these neighborhoods, be very respectful of where you are, because the people that you're going, the areas you're going to go visit, this is their home, and you make sure you leave it better than when you left. You make sure you help improve the value of the area. You want to make sure you add to the eyesore, you fix the eyesore. That way they can feel more, more confident about their investment, more confident that the government or the bank is doing something to remediate the eyesore. So make sure that you help improve the condition in the neighborhood, help keep the value of the properties where it should be, and that you are doing all you can to make sure the property is being communicated properly as to the status of that property, okay? If there's doors in the property, make sure they're security locked. If there's any broken glass or windows, make sure you tell them so it gets fixed and replaced. In most cases, if there's anything dealing with the cleanliness, the safety, or the securing, they're going to tell you to go ahead and take care of it then. Don't leave. Go ahead and take care of it, and of course you just invoice them on anything you do. But just communicate, let them know what you're seeing and what you're going to be doing, and that way there is no misunderstandings when you move forward in your business, okay? Alright, I've been talking a lot, but we're getting there. So make sure you connect all these gaps. Make sure you understand all these things. And we're going to go into a lot more here. Make sure you understand. Make sure you understand what are some of the biggest problems in your area. If you're in an area and you see a lot of vacant homes, or a lot of properties that don't have any grass that's being cut, or maybe you see a lot of properties that have been vandalized or arsoned, then there's probably an opportunity for you to go in there and tear the property down, demolish the property, to bush hog the grass, to clean out the the yards, whatever's there. Just know that, okay? So understand your area, understand your community, and what the problems are in the area, okay? And then you'll be able to better assess where the need is at in your area, okay? Because everyone's trying to fit into the same little area, and maybe the problem is that there are no inspectors, and you probably can dominate the area by just doing inspections alone. Doing the preservation work is not the only thing you can do. Maybe that you see a need for just a grass cut, and you can focus in on the grass cut. Or maybe you have a license, you're a licensed contractor, you can focus in on just doing all the contract work. It's totally up to you, but just be observant, be watchful, and understand what your community is having problems with as the economy tries to heal. Let's see. Let's keep going. So I want to now go into some Q&A and see if I can try to help you guys with some questions, okay? All right, that's what we got going on. I'm going to skip over this for now. So the first question that I hear is, okay, how do I get started? Okay, well, I would say if you are looking to get started in this business, then you need to make sure you research your area. Okay, make sure you do your research. Understand the numbers. Understand exactly how many foreclosed homes or vacant homes are in your area. And one thing you can do is you can go to realtytrack.com, and they'll give you some overview statistics of how many foreclosures are in your area. Okay, and it might say in the month of May there were 3,000 new foreclosures, and you may be thinking, oh no, there's not enough foreclosures. Well, you gotta make sure you understand what it means. Okay. Understand those numbers, okay? Just because it says 3,000 foreclosures doesn't mean that's it. There might be 500,000 properties that are foreclosed in the surrounding area. They add 3,000 a month to that list. So there probably are properties that are sitting waiting to be worked on, and then they just added those to them. So just because that number says 3,000 doesn't mean it's all of them. Those are just the new numbers. So it might say it's improving or, declining or getting worse, but just know that there's a bigger picture that you don't even know about behind the scene, okay? Make sure you understand the competition and concentration in your area. What I would do is I would just kind of go online and see how many companies are in your area. You can go to a company called newrep.com, and I'll put the links below this video or in the Facebook group to these websites. But go to newrep.com and you'll be, one, adding your company to there, and two, go on there and see how many companies are in the area that you are looking to cover. And you can even, if you want to, you feel confident enough to call these companies and just see if they're still in business, because they might not be in business anymore. You might see 40 companies, but only 10 are still in the business, okay? So just kind of understand your competition and know how concentrated your area is before you dive in, okay? Do the proper research and marketing, okay? The third thing I would say you could do is call the companies you're going to be working with if you're looking to get started, and just check to see if there is a need for the vendors in your area. They might not need any vendors. They might need, like I said, inspectors, or they might segment their business and they may need people to cut grass. So just call and ask them. And if you get 3 or 4 no's, don't get discouraged. It's also just 3 or 4 companies. There are so many more you can call before you get discouraged. And they may even ask you before, are you licensed and insured? And they may not give you any information if you're not. So just be mindful of that when you're contacting these companies and doing this research, okay? Because they might be a little more secretive until they know you're qualified. Just kind of give you a heads up, okay? And Another thing is make sure you are connecting with other people in the business. One thing that I did not have, I didn't have a platform to talk to anybody, to ask questions. I think I finally found someone maybe like 3 or 4 months into the business. I called him from his website. He actually called me back, and he really helped me. Like, he shared a lot of good information with me. He was in Ohio, and he covered, I think, like part of Ohio, and I want to say another part of another state. I can't remember right now. Maybe, I don't know. It was something else he covered. And he really gave me a lot of good information when no one was there to give it to me. You know, I was so thankful and grateful that he did that, because he didn't have to, especially no one else was doing it. So I was thankful that he did that. He was very helpful. Okay. So how much money can you make? Well, that's a good question. I can go into it, but you really need to go over the cost schedules to understand how much you can make in the business. And due to certain laws and regulations, I can't really tell you what I've made. But I can say that success and income, it all depends on you, okay? It depends totally on your level of skill work, your hard work, and how organized you are. Not only organizational skills, but how your business is organized. So it's up to you how much money you can make. I know someone that I know who connected with me about October of last year. They were in the business for a couple months and made $3,000, you know, and was very excited about making more money. And had some more questions to ask me. So you can make what you want, but it's up to you, your skill level, your hard work, and your organizational skills, okay? So it's up to you. I mean, I really don't want to go into more than that. All I will say is get a cost schedule, kind of be realistic about the number of properties you can work on. I would say if you're starting out, I would say 3 properties a week. You should think about doing 3 properties a week, and maybe average about 300, you know, a property. But just know that's an average, because a lot of properties will pay you a lot more, and it all depends on the grass, not the grass. It all depends on the debris in that property. So you can make a good $1,000 a week. You know, that's good money starting out as you grow. You know, as you get started, as you learn, because you don't want to grow too fast. You don't want to take on too much work. You're gonna hurt yourself and your business. Okay. All right. And I get this question as well. Do I need a website? Alright, so in hindsight, so I did not have a website for about a couple years, and what I would say is no, you do not need a website. You don't need a website to get started. As far as when I got started back in 2009, if you don't have the money, I wouldn't worry about a website. You don't necessarily need it. There are applications that ask for websites, but it's optional to put that in there. It's not mandatory, but it does help you automate your process. So if you have a business and you have all your insurance information on your website, then it'll help you be able to finish your application a lot faster if you can direct your companies, your clients to the website, right? As you grow, if it's just you and your husband, or you and your wife, or whoever it is, you may not need it. But as you grow and you start getting employees and contractors, and or if you have the money to invest, then yes, go ahead and get a website. But you really should be focusing right now on applying to companies first, understanding the business, understanding the need in your area. And once you get all that done, once you get all the basics done, and you start planting your first seeds out there, you can always work on that maybe 2 or 3 hours a week, you know, on the side. But I wouldn't make it your main focus unless you have someone to work on it for you. I wouldn't spend a lot of money unless you have the money to invest in your website. Perfectly fine. But again, this is your business. I mean, this is how you do it. Be creative, have fun. If you want a website, get a website. If you don't have the money for a website, don't worry about it. You don't have to have it. But like I said, when you're starting to get employees and contractors, it makes it a lot easier when you have an automated system. They call you, they want to work with you, you tell them to go to your website and apply. That way you're not sending out emails, finding this form, trying to get this sent over to them, reply their email. It's a lot of work, but the website will help you automate, and it will help you showcase the work you've worked on in the past for your clients, and it helps tell a story and build credibility on your business. That way you can kind of get more clients that way as well. But it's up to you. A website's nothing more than a marketing piece and a data collection center. Keep that in mind, okay? Alright, so what do I need? Okay, I'm going to go over this again, okay? Well, you're going to definitely need someone to help you. Whether it's you yourself, your spouse, whether you have family members, whether you hire people, whether you get volunteers, I don't know what you're going to do. Whether you get contractors, you're going to need some help. You're going to need one other person at least to help you get the work done. And as you get the work, as you grow and get more properties, you can expand. But you can get people to work for you, okay? But if you're starting out, like I did, it was just me and my husband, we did it ourselves. But you're going to need some workers, okay? Some hands. Don't forget you need insurance and license, okay? You're going to need tools and supplies, okay? We went over that earlier. I'll go over it again in the training, and I also have them in the resource section, the file section of the group. You're going to need a list of contacts. I mean, you can do all the work. You can pay for all the software, buy all the tool supplies, the brand new truck or used truck. But if you don't have any clients to go market to, you're sitting there. All the money you have are just sitting there waiting. It's wasted, okay? So you have to have a list of contacts. And let me see. I want to show you something, okay? Let's say, for example, you don't have the money right now, okay? Let me show you what I did. I'm going to go here. Okay? When I didn't have the money, I went to Google, okay? And what I did was I typed in dmos.org, okay? And what I did, I came here, and I believe I typed in like property appraiser preservation, okay? That's a term. And I found a list of companies, right? Here it says there are about 44,000, but I'm sure a lot of them are not real, so meaning it's not pertaining to our business. So I went through this directory, and I seen his will. I clicked on his will. Okay, they're no longer there anymore. Okay, wow. He was there when I was last working with them. Okay. Alright. Let's see. PCI. Come over here. Click on this one. Okay. So let's see. Coverage area work for us. Okay. Scroll down here. Alright. So thank you for your interest in our company. They're looking for good field reps. So I will go ahead and I'll apply here. Okay. And I will take this URL. I would save it to a spreadsheet, and I will just keep track. I will come back after about a week if I didn't hear from them, and I will just continue the email chain. Okay, I applied to your company last week. I'm interested in getting started. How do I get connected with your business and work as a vendor? Here's my credentials. Here's my insurance. Here's my credibility. All right. All right. Did that. Came back to the list. Went down. Let's see. Find somebody else. There, let's see. Here's one right here. Wolfpack. Been around for a while. Is there anything here? I don't see anything there. Let's go back. Let me see. I just went through everything on the list. I made sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, go to the next page. And DMOS is basically a directory of websites put together by humans. They're volunteers, okay? So I just went through this whole entire list, and I went one by one, okay? And what I did, if you don't see what you want, I would just go back if I were you and maybe type in another term called field services. Go back one more. Type in field services. Alright, here we go. Here's some companies right here. You got field services and National Field Reps. A whole bunch of companies are here. So if you don't have any money, just spend some time and go through this list. It says you got about 40. It says almost 500,000. So I don't know what all is back there. Just kind of go through it, have fun, find some good terms. Otherwise, if you don't want to have to do all this, then I do have it all in the ebook. You can purchase the ebook and have all this done for you. Otherwise, you have to get to work. Just go through this list and one by one and just pick them. Pick them out. See what we got right here. Read the website, see what they're looking for, see what they're asking for, and just go one by one. Okay? So I hope that helps you. So go back to the presentation. You got to have a list of contacts. If you don't have contacts, that's your option. If you do, and then you can get busy. Okay? Support system. I built this community. I'm building a community so you have people you can talk to. You can make connections with people in your area that'll be willing and they have the mindset to want to help. If you work with anyone outside the industry, they might not be as willing, but I think this group right here, I think each one of you are willing to work with each other. Some of you are in different places in your business. Some of you are already in the business. Some of you are growing and need some help. Some of you are just getting started. Some of you are researching. So no matter where you are, this is a community that we can work together, communicate, share your practices, share your experiences, share what you've learned with others, so that you can, have a community that will give back to you as well. So the support system is here for that. I want to make sure you can, come here anytime and talk to each other and ask me questions and if I don't know the answer, I will find the answer for you, okay? Alright, next thing. So what is the total investment needed? This is a good question. This is asked in the webinar. If I think about it, I would say, let me swap this real quick. Let's see. Sorry about that. So what I would say is different for everybody. It all depends on what you have to invest. Like I said, I didn't have much to invest, but I think comfortably, if you have between $4,000 to $6,000 possibly, you should be fine. You probably get away with less. But like I said, I grew it from the bottom. I grew it with inspections. because I had absolutely nothing. I did inspections, I grew it, bought a lawnmower. Took the money from the lawnmower cuts, grew it, bought a riding lawnmower. Grew that, put a hitch on our car, and a trailer, you know. So I grew it as I was going from the ground. But if you have the income, get the money to invest and do that, okay? Alright, that's what's next. I've already mentioned that if you don't have the money to start, where do you start? Well, like I said, you start with inspections, okay? You start with inspections. I think that's the best thing you can do. Or you find someone who can give you the money. Another thing I talked about last time in our webinar was, let's say, for example, you are in business and you have a cash flow issue. Well, you can always get with factoring companies, and they will basically advance the money or percentage of your invoices for the work you've rendered. Because sometimes it takes 30 days to get paid, sometimes 45. Some companies pay you within the next day of approval, and some pay you weekly, like twice a month. So you want to have a good mixture of companies, that way you're getting checks throughout the month, getting invoices cleared every month. But in case you have a couple of large jobs that you need to pay your people and you're being held up, you can always go to a factoring company and you can sell your invoices. Now, they might give you 60-75% of the invoice and then charge you a fine. But at least you're able to keep your business growing, because it's all about having liquidity and having cash flow. That's just the cost of doing business. Just be smart about it. You know, be very smart about how you manage it, and it should work for you. It should work very fine. So I'll try to get some companies and do a little research for you guys on that. And that way you have another option if you are in a situation where you don't have any money coming through and you want to make sure you're able to pay your workers. Okay? All right, we're almost there. Let's see. So time to assess really quick. I want to review a couple more things or go over some things before you get too far into business. And that's your goals. Make sure you have some goals. Make sure you're being realistic. You know, don't say, oh, I'm going to make some money in this business. I'm going to do like 20 work orders a week. That's not realistic. It's not doable unless you have some workers. Even still, you got to pay those workers, and you're learning, you know. There are things you got to go through and learn, the learning curve. So you don't want to have unrealistic goals. I would say 2 or 3 work orders a week is probably good enough for someone starting out. So make sure your goals are very specific. You know, hey, I want to work with 2 companies. I want to get between 3 to 5 jobs a week. I want to average X dollars per week. You know, and I want to have, you know, to do this in 30 days or 90 days out. So be very specific about what you plan on doing and write those things down. That way you can measure your results, you know. So after, you know, write your goals down, your 30-day goals, and then you work. You work hard as you can for those 30 days. And then when the 30 days come up, you assess, okay, how did I do? Did I meet my goal? What did I do differently? That way you can modify and change. Even while you're in midstream, you know, break it down to the week and break it down by the day, okay? If you know you need to get, you know, 12 properties done in a month, it's like what, 3 a week? If you get the first week done, you only did 1 property, then something's wrong. You know, you're not going to meet your target if you don't make some changes really quick. You know, so keep that in mind. Make sure your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and targeted. Those are SMART goals, okay? I know that hurts to have to sit down and do that, but it's very important. If you're not very clear about what you're going to be doing, what your intentions are, you're going to be everywhere. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be discouraged. You're going to be overwhelmed because you don't have any goals. If you want to avoid being burned out in this business, you're going to avoid being burned out in startup before you even get started, then make sure you have goals, okay? If you're just starting out, maybe your goal right now, okay, I'm going to contact, you know, 10 companies per week or this week, okay? I'm going to submit 2 applications a week, okay? And that's where you start at, okay? Make sure your goals are realistic, you know? Maybe you know you can't submit 15 applications this week, okay? Be realistic, it's a lot of work. Maybe you can do 2 or 3, okay? So make sure you keep that in mind because it's going to help you in the long run avoid heartache and pain and overwhelmingness before you even get started, you know? So hope that helps. So I said, make a quick list of things you know you can do and get complete this month, okay? Make a quick list. You can quickly call 5 companies. You can go to the website and do the research I asked you to do quickly, you know? Get those things done and you'll see progress. You'll see improvement. You'll have motivation. You'll know you're on the right track as you continue to grow your business. And do it every day. You know, have a goal every day and try to keep that small goal, and it should all roll up to your end. You know, so if you're doing a task, you should ask yourself before you start, okay, will this help me get to my goal? Does this fit into my vision for my business? If it doesn't, then you need to out it. You shouldn't do the activity. But make sure your activities are in alignment with your vision so you can get to where you're trying to go a lot faster. Alright, recap. So I went over a lot of things. I want to make sure we focus it all in real quick so you know what your next step should be. Make sure you watch this whole video, okay? Make sure you go back and you watch the 7-day videos that are on YouTube, okay? If you don't know where that's at, email me, Facebook me, ask me what those videos are at. And if you qualify, then I'll put you in the VIP group, okay? Make sure you complete the PMP questionnaire. It's going to help me understand what you need. It's going to help me tailor the content to help you in your business. Make sure you sign up to get the information on the next webinar. I'm going to be sending invites every week. So if you want to be on that list for the next webinar, Very important you are on that list, okay? So make sure you sign up for that list. Connect with me on Facebook. I will leave my, I will give my Facebook URL below this video. It's a VIP group on Facebook. Make sure that you are posting any and all questions in the Facebook group. It's going to help me better manage my business, and for me to be more efficient in answering your questions, because I get so many questions in a day, and the way that it's set up, I'm not able to answer everyone. I don't want to miss your questions. So make sure you're in the Facebook group, you're posting your questions there. That way I can answer them, and we can get what you need, resolved. And if you're inquisitive or you're questioning, how do you find out more about any services that I offer, whether you're trying to book a consulting service that I provide or a private coaching session, just let me know, ask me, and I can get the information to you. And like I said, make sure that you develop an action plan for the rest of this year. Not just for next month, but try to map out the rest of this year and do the best you can with having goals in mind of where you want to be at, in the next 30, 90, 60 days. 30, 90, 60 days up to this year, okay? So, are you overwhelmed yet? Are you a little worried? I don't know. We got a lot we went over, and we didn't even touch the surface yet, okay? So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, if you're feeling a little heavy, don't worry. That's actually good. That's actually a signal that you're growing, It's like you're going to a buffet, right? And you're putting all this food on your plate, right? And you come back to your table, and you're sitting there like, wow, my plate is full. Whoa, right? And you're devouring that plate, right? And you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this plate was so full. Let me get this plate down. Let me concentrate on this so I can go get some more. Right now, your plate might be full, and that's good. That means you're growing, okay? It's a signal of growth. So go ahead and focus on this, and then we'll get some more on your plate. One thing I learned that I want my plate to be full. I'm hungry, I'm hungry for success. I'm hungry for your success. I'm hungry to learn and to apply what I've learned. So I'm like, okay, what can I learn? And when I get that overwhelming feeling, it's exciting to me because I know it's something I've never been exposed to, something that I've never, ever experienced before. And I know if I can just contain what I got on my plate and just welcome it in. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be overwhelmed, but just breathe in and just accept it in, as being what it is. Now I'll grow faster, okay? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as you take all this information in. And just know that your success is all dependent on your dedication to the mission and positioning yourself properly. You want to position yourself in a place of power, a place of knowledge, a place where you can be the best you can be, and that you can be successful. Set yourself up for success. Don't put yourself in places where you're not going to be successful, okay? And then make sure, you are doing what you can and promoting the right things, promoting your business, marketing, getting out there, sharing what you do with people. Because you never know. It's not the person you're talking to that can help you. It's the person that they know. You never know who people know. And you might be sitting on a gold mine. So just make sure you're sharing what you're doing, sharing your business with people, and also know who you're sharing with. Because some people are just naysayers and they're negative. They'll be like, oh wow, I can't believe you're getting in that business. What? You're doing that? You don't want that. You don't want people who are naysayers. You don't want people gonna make you doubt who you are or make you feel worse. So just be selective. Know your audience. Know who you're talking to, and just, when the time comes, you know who to share with, and you'll know who to pull back from when it's time, okay? And always remember, no matter what you do in this business, whether you decide it's something you want to do, or whether you decide, this is not really in alignment with what I'm trying to go in my life, just know if it's for you, it's for you, and you can do this. This is an absolutely easy business to do. if you want to, okay? Before we leave, let me give you 3 recommended opportunities that you can start with. So if you don't know who you can work with, a company that I mentioned is called Superior, and they are a very good company you can work with. They do a lot of rehab. So if you're definitely into getting a lot of the big jobs done, or if you're a general contractor, this is a very good company you're going to want to connect with. They have an awesome team. I love working with them. So make sure you reach out to them, and I will put the contact information below, because they have different managers per area depending on what area you live in, so you'll need to know who to contact for your area. Another company that I worked with that you may want to look into is called OptiSource. Now, they have a lot of work. Let me go back. They have a lot of work for you. They keep you busy. I didn't really like the structure of their company. They have a lot of Indians that work with them. But they are available, you know, from like 8 o'clock in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night. So they have a really good exposure to the vendors. But if you have a hard time understanding people who are Indian, they have pretty good English. I understood them. There were a couple that I struggled with. But this is a company you can work with, and they will keep you busy. And they pay like the next day. One good thing about this company is they do pay the next day. But they are very picky on how they turn work orders in. So just make sure you understand the guidelines. I wouldn't take too much too fast with them until you learn what they expect. And then once you understand it, then definitely hit the ground running with them, because they will pay very well. When you know their system, you can get paid so well. But if you are struggling with the internet, you struggle with any technical parts of the business, then I would shy away from them right now, because you are going to struggle. You're going to be mad. Your money going to be tied up, and I don't want that for you. Okay, but otherwise, they're a good company. Just got the customer service part, the language barrier, something you may want to keep an eye on. Okay. CoreLogic, very good company. They also pay the next day. They segment their work as well, like OptiSource. So if you want to focus in on grass, you can. Very good company. A lot of tools available to all their vendors. So make sure you look them up. And then MSI, they have a very good customer service base, and they have a lot of good standards. They actually give you a rating. They keep as far as how efficient you are with turning your work orders in on time, and give you a percentage. As long as you don't fall below a percentage, you will stay with the company. But if you start slipping, they will let you go. So they have very high standards. They are very good team. They make it so that you don't get connected with anybody. So after I think 60 days or so, you have a new specialist you have to contact. I'm not sure if they go to a different department, or if they just rotate them through, or if they still work there. I don't know. I just know that they tend to have new people every 2 or 3 months. So you can build a relationship with them, but just know you're going to change it up with somebody else soon. So keep that in mind. Alright, so we went over a lot of information, and that was just the recap of a lot of things that I wanted to talk about in the first webinar. We're going to have another webinar coming up next week, which would be, May 29th. That's my goal, to have one May 29th. So make sure, if you're interested in that webinar, that you sign up to get the information. And I'm expecting to hear a lot of questions. I'm expecting to get a lot of feedback. I'm expecting to interact with you in the Facebook group. I will be adding you all there. Those of you who are in the webinar, I'll be adding you to that group this week. So be looking for that. And I'm excited for what's to come to help you get started in your business. So we have a lot to go still. I have a lot of goodies in the Facebook group. You're going to be so excited about what you're going to see back there. I'm still getting a lot of things connected, so when I get you in there, just know I'm still adding all the elements for you. But it's going to be a growing community, so you're going to want to definitely be a part of that community, okay? Alright guys, it is late where I'm at. I am tired. I've been talking for about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes now. So I'm going to cut it short here, and I will see you next time and on Facebook. Take care and have fun and enjoy growing your businesses. Bye-bye.